The year was 1979, and the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion was filled with the most powerful people in Hollywood. The Academy Awards were always a night of glamour, but that night, a heavy silence fell when the presenter was announced. John Wayne walked out. To the audience, he looked like a god of the silver screen, a man who had survived 1,000 gunfights. But the reality was a nightmare. What the cameras didn't show was that Wayne had just come from a hospital bed. He was so thin and frail that he had to wear a 40-pound lead-lined suit underneath his tuxedo just to keep his body from collapsing on stage. Every breath he took was like fire in his lungs. Yet, when he reached the microphone, he delivered his lines with that iconic, steady voice. He looked at his friends, his rivals, and his fans, and he smiled. It was a performance more heroic than any movie he had ever made. He was staring death in the face and refusing to blink. But how did the strongest man in America reach this point of no return? To understand the tragedy, we have to look at the moments the world chose to ignore. Before the world knew the Duke, there was only Marion Morrison, a boy from Iowa who moved to California with nothing but a strong build and a restless spirit. He wasn't born a cowboy. He was made into one by the brutal machinery of the studio system. In the early days, he was just a prop boy, moving heavy furniture for directors like John Ford. Ford saw something in Marion, a certain gravity. But Ford was a hard man, and he treated Wayne with a cruelty that would shape the actor forever. Wayne was forced to change everything: his name, his walk, even the way he held a cigarette. He became the face of the American frontier, a symbol of masculinity that defined a generation. But as the legend grew, the man inside began to vanish. Marion Morrison was a sensitive soul who loved chess and bridge, but John Wayne had to be a man who solved everything with a fist or a gun. He was trapped in a cage made of his own fame. He spent decades playing a hero, but the pressure of being perfect for the public began to tear his personal life apart. He was the king of Hollywood, but he was becoming the loneliest man in the desert. In 1954, a production began that would change history for all the wrong reasons. The movie was The Conqueror, a massive epic where Wayne played Genghis Khan. The location chosen was Snow Canyon near St. George, Utah. It was a beautiful, rugged landscape, but it held a dark, invisible secret. Just a few miles away, the United States government was conducting atmospheric nuclear tests at the Nevada Proving Grounds. During filming, the winds shifted, blowing a thick cloud of radioactive fallout directly over the cast and crew. The dust was everywhere, in their food, in their hair, and deep in their lungs. The government assured the studio that the levels were well within safety limits. They lied. Wayne and his 220-person crew spent weeks working in a radioactive hot zone. They even hauled 60 tons of that poison dirt back to a studio in Hollywood to ensure the scenery matched. It was a slow-motion execution. Years later, the numbers began to tell the horrific truth. Out of that crew, nearly half developed terminal cancer. Susan Hayward, the leading lady, died of it. The director, Dick Powell, died of it. And John Wayne, the man who thought he was invincible, began to feel the first signs of the Big C, as he called it. The irony was devastating. The ultimate American patriot was being killed by the very government he defended so fiercely. Yet, Wayne never spoke out. He kept the secret, protecting the image of his country even as it poisoned his blood. Behind the scenes, the Duke was falling apart. His 3 marriages were disasters, fueled by his obsession with work and his inability to be present at home. He loved his 7 children, but he was a stranger to them for most of their lives, always away on a remote set or on his beloved boat, the Wild Goose. To cope with the pain, both physical and emotional, he turned to heavy drinking. He was known to finish an entire bottle of tequila in a single sitting, yet he was so professional that he never showed up drunk on set. But the cigarettes were his true downfall. He smoked 6 packs a day. He carried a portable oxygen tank in his trailer during his later films, hiding it from the press so no one would know the legend was struggling to breathe. He underwent massive surgeries, losing a lung and several ribs, but he refused to stop working. He was terrified of being seen as weak. He was John Wayne. He had to keep moving, keep fighting, even when there was nothing left to fight for. The man who conquered the West was now a prisoner in his own aging, failing body. By June 1979, the battle was almost over. In his final days at UCLA Medical Center, Wayne was surrounded by his family. Even as the end drew near, he maintained his dignity. He converted to Catholicism in his final hours, seeking a peace that had eluded him for 72 years. He told his daughter, "Don't cry for me. I've had a hell of a run." When he finally took his last breath on June 11th, a part of America died with him. He wasn't just an actor, he was an era. His grave in Newport Beach was left unmarked for 20 years, a secret final resting place for a man who had lived his entire life in the spotlight. Today, his headstone bears a simple quote about heritage and courage. He taught us that being a man isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up, doing the work, and facing the end with your head held high. John Wayne may have left the stage, but the dust from his horse's hooves will never truly settle. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into history. If you want to see more untold stories of the legends who built Hollywood, subscribe and hit the bell. Until next time, keep the legend alive.